Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my channel, Life with Lissette. And in today's video, we're going to talk about a subject that is delicate and sensitive and very vulnerable for me. But part of my channel is to bring you this type of content, to talk about things that aren't really being mentioned, and to be an example of what is possible and be an example of my journey. And I want to bring you along. But before I get into all that, I need to say a couple of things. Number one, if you are new here, welcome. If you are returning and you are a subscriber, and even if you're not, but you're returning, thank you for coming back. Thank you for watching. Just don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because I do read all the comments. I do respond. That is how I stay connected. So I hope you take the time out to leave me a comment, and I can't wait to hear from all of you. But on the backs of this being a sensitive, delicate, and very vulnerable story, I'm asking that you provide me with some grace and to just be kind. That's all. I just want us to be kind and be nice to each other. All right. Whew. So before I get into the full positive part of this, I want to start by saying that being a postmenopausal woman is something that I am proud of. It is something that is just another testament and another confirmation of how powerful and how strong and how resilient a woman's body is. And so if you are a woman that is finding yourself in postmenopause and you're not even sure if you are, be proud of yourself. This is a phase of our lives that we should be so honored to have encountered, that we have so much available to us, that we have so many things that are here to work for us. And there's no time like right now to have been suffering from postmenopause and to do something about it. Our bodies are not just made to bear children and give birth. And if you are one that chose not to have children, your body is still doing amazing things. But that is not the end all be all to women. And here's what I would say too, because I had to really take a step back and talk some positivity into myself. This last week has not been easy. It has been a true test of my mental state. Yes, it has. But when I take a step back and do some reflective work, I realize this body that's sitting in this chair, this body has birthed two healthy, amazing human beings. I have given life. That is a miracle. I know that my body is still capable of doing amazing things. But society wants to tell us otherwise. Society wants to tell us that when you become menopausal, that your life is over, that you don't mean anything. You should just shrivel up and die because you're just old and no good. And how do I know that? Because I didn't think of it to that degree. But whenever I heard the word menopause as a younger person, I always thought old, older, and not mentally okay. And we would joke about it. The crazy part is I don't ever remember my mother, my aunts, no one in my circle, no woman in my circle that was older ever talking about menopause. Why? Because they didn't even know enough about it. And as a 55-year-old woman today, I realize that I speak for my parents, I speak for my mother and my aunts and my grandmother, and I watched them change. And today I can sit here and say I feel so horrible for them because they didn't have what we have today. We are so fortunate to have at our fingertips not just information to educate ourselves, but we have medical staff that also knows. Not all of them. There's only a few of them, but we have them. You just have to search high and low for them, but we do have them. And we have available to us medical resources such as hormone replacement therapy and other types of therapies to help us through this phase. Because I refuse to shrivel up and die. I refuse to think that my body is not capable of transformation. I refuse to believe that my body is not capable of doing hard things. I've done that. I have proven that I can do that. This is just another phase. And with everything in me, I am going to conquer it. I'm going to live it happy, full of life, full of energy, and in the best mental state that I can. That is not the case for some of our parents. Those that were born in the 30s and 40s and 50s, they did not have it as good as we have it. We have this thing called the Women's Health Initiative that was rolled out in the early 2000s that spread like wildfire. And it really, really set us back. It really created a lot of negativity, a lot of negative noise, and it put a lot of fear into women. But I will say, I'm not going to get into a lot of the medical details about it. That study, that Women's Health Initiative, has been called back because it was false, because they lied to the American people, because a lot of women died as a result of the medications that were put on them during that study. It's not because they died of breast cancer. And I have to put out the disclaimer, I'm not a medical professional, but these are facts that are in the Women's Health Initiative. And I will try to find that. I may not be able to link it as soon as I upload this video, but I am going to research it, and I will link all of the news and all, the one article that was written that called that study back, if I can find it. But I don't want to get boggled down in that. And I will do a series on menopause. I just need to do it right. I need to make sure that I have my resources and I have my sightings and all of the medical scientific information readily available that I will be speaking about in the different series segments. But I need to make sure I have those in first, because I don't want anything to happen to my channel. And I also don't want people to come down on me and saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyhow, when I think back to my parents, to my mom and my aunts, and I feel so horrible for them because they were made to feel like they were going crazy. There are women today that are still being made to feel like they're going crazy. There are still women today that are overly medicated. There are women today that are misdiagnosed daily. Some of the symptoms of misdiagnosis and overmedication are ringing in the ear, heart palpitations, brain fog, forgetting what we're saying mid-sentence, inflammation, bloating, weight gain, unexplained weight gain, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, joint pain, right? Frozen shoulder, stiff elbow, hip pain. We have heart palpitations. These are all symptoms of peri and postmenopause. It's so bad that we also misuse the term, because menopause is only the day in which you realize that you have not had your period for 12 consecutive months. Being menopausal means that you are in one of the two phases of menopause, which is peri or post. Perimenopause is late 20s, early 30s, up until you don't have your period anymore. The day after you stop having your period, you are now in the postmenopausal phase. So I never say that I am in menopause, because I already had my menopause, or my period stopped many years ago. I am a postmenopausal woman. And it's important that we understand the difference of those terms, especially when we're going in front of a healthcare professional, because their symptoms are different and the treatments are different. But again, I'm not going to get into the details of that. So I say all this to say that when I suffered my Great Depression back in 2018 after losing my job, the following year, I anchored myself in 5 pillars that helped me keep my head above water and you know, kept me healthy and alive and still here. And the first one was um, building my relationship with God. You believe in whatever higher source you want to believe in. I believe in God. So making sure that I had a really strong relationship and I started to read scripture and really started to hone in on that was important. The second thing that I started to do was gratitude journaling and journaling. I really wanted to keep a gratitude journal and take everything that was in my brain and put it on paper because it was all weighing me down. The more I thought, the more I held on to it, the more it weighed me down, and I needed to release it. So, gratitude journaling and journaling was the second pillar that helped me. The third pillar, I would say, was getting professional help. I went to see a professional therapist. I went from seeing them 5 days a week to, and then I tweaked myself down to 4, 3, 2. Now I only see my therapist maybe once every 2 months or as needed. But I am still in contact with my therapist. Um, I also started to listen to motivational professionals, motivational speakers. I only, I wanted to be engrossed in that world, in that light, in that environment because I needed someone to speak positivity into me. And then the last pillar I would say would be health and fitness. I really overhauled my entire life. I stopped drinking. I became an alcoholic during that process. So I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking cigars. I cut out sugars. I really went all in into my workouts and in my nutrition. So much so that for the first time in my life, I had abs. My body had completely transformed, similar to birth, right? When you're pregnant, your body does things. All the magic that happens in a woman's body when she's pregnant, you know, this is how I know that I'm capable of, that my body is capable of so much. And I hate that people think that just because we are postmenopausal that we're supposed to shrivel up and die. It is the one subject that boils my blood. So I had a complete transformation again in my life. I had abs. I was toned. I had muscles popping everywhere, even in my back. It was crazy. And it was great. And then something happened. 2.5, 3 years later, after that, I woke up and I had facial hair. That's another symptom. I had crazy facial hair on my hair, on my head, my face. I had inflammation and belly bloat. I couldn't even get my rings on or off. The sleep really started to really get bad. And then it happened. I started to forget my words mid-sentence. That scared me. And it scared me because my father had suffered a spontaneous brain hemorrhage 3 years before he passed away from colon cancer. But I immediately think I'm having a spontaneous brain hemorrhage. I have a brain tumor. Something's not right. So I went and got an MRI. I did all these tests. I'm fine. But it was scary. And I went and got so many tests. I saw so many professionals from the age of, because a lot of my symptoms started, my heart palpitations, my tinnitus, that all started in my late 30s. So I had been seeing an ENT and I had been seeing a cardiologist. So when I got into my 40s and early 50s, not one doctor ever mentioned the word menopause to me. Not a single one. Nope. I saw numerous specialists. I had numerous tests done. No one ever uttered the word menopausal to me. But I started to develop these other crazy symptoms. And I went right to, like everyone else, I went right to Google. And I started to search series of symptoms, symptoms by themselves. And it wasn't until one night that I said, okay, I said a prayer and I knew that I needed to have answers because I had a horrible night's sleep. That day, I was literally forgetting words mid-sentence. I had no memory at all of anything. I couldn't remember what I did that morning. It was horrible. So I went to Google and I started typing. And it wasn't until I got to page 3, 4, or 5 of my Google search, it was probably page 4, that the word menopause even showed up. I dug into that. The more I looked at it, the more it started to make sense, that led me into following other social media influencers, but they are medical professionals. They are certified, board certified doctors, physicians, and specialize in gynecology or in urology for women. And there is Dr. Casperson, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, Haver, Dr. Mindy Pelz, Pelz. I started to listen to them. I was listening to their podcasts. I was listening to their interviews. I was listening to everything and anything that had to do with postmenopause or menopausal. And I felt as though those people were inside of my medical records. I felt like they had been in my head and they were telling me they knew something about me because everything they'd said, I went, that's me. That's me. That's me. And fast forward, I realized, okay, I need to change my workouts. Because when I started to develop those symptoms of inflammation and belly bloat, brain fog, lack of sleep, um, all these other symptoms, I decided, oh, let me go back to the workouts that gave me those big transformations. Let me go back to those workouts that gave me the abs and gave me definition. Let me go back to that nutrition plan. And this is going to reverse it all. In fact, it made it worse. I ended up weighing more by the time I was done these programs. And these programs were anywhere from 60 to 90 days long. I was bigger, I was more inflamed, and my sleep did not get any better, nor did my brain. So something was happening. When I started to listen to the specialist, I realized, oh, it's this thing called insulin resistance and cortisol. That thing. Again, I'm going to do a series. I'm giving you these words so you can start looking them up yourself and see what the impact of these things, these levels are in your body, especially if you're postmenopause. And so I decided, okay, let me start walking. Let me cut out coffee. Let me no longer do cardio. I stopped doing cardio. I stopped doing high interval, intense interval training. I stopped all these crazy things that I was doing. And I focused Tabata. I was focused on lifting weights and walking. My nutrition consisted of protein and fiber first in its most natural source. Cut out sugars, cut out artificial sweeteners, all the things. I started to see a change, but I developed this thing called coughing up blood. And that set me backwards. That was a year and a half ago. And after about 10 months, almost 2 years ago, after 10 months or so of not having any episodes, 3.5 weeks ago, I started coughing up blood again. The problem, and I did have some episodes in between, but the problem with this is that I don't have a trigger. We can't find an answer. I'm still going through tests right now to figure it out. And I'm working towards figuring out the root cause. But until then, my mental state has spiraled. Because you see, when I mentioned those 5 pillars that got me out of depression, exercise, working out has so many positive impacts in your life. And one of them is reversing signs and symptoms of depression. They fill your body with endorphins, right? They release all these positive chemicals into your body. And I don't have that right now. And I know that I rely on that. And we should, everyone should. But not having it has really set me back. So 3 weeks ago, I suffered another episode, major episode of coughing up blood. So much so that I was taken to the ER. And it has been a whirlwind. Week 1, I was fine. Week 2, I was okay. Week 3, which was last week, I am not okay. I realized last week that I am just not okay. I reached out to my pulmonologist and I explained the whole thing to her, told her how I was feeling, what led me here, and why I called her. And she listened. She took the time out. She listened to me. She was very empathetic, but she's also cautious because coughing up blood is not normal. We need to get to the root cause. The problem is we don't have a trigger. And so we're working all of that out. She gave me the green light to start working out with guardrails, really big guardrails. She gave me the okay to start working out. But I also felt defeated because all the things that I was doing before, I just didn't feel as though I was seeing or feeling what I wanted. And after turning 55, I realized I want so much more. And based on how my body and my brain functions, I need to have a goal. I am very goal oriented. I am very goal focused. And so I needed a goal to work towards. I need something in place that's going to help me reach that goal and hold myself accountable. I don't need an accountability team. I don't need an accountability partner. I hold myself accountable, and I am my worst critic. My husband says, never seen anyone with so much self discipline and persistence and consistency like you. Unmatched. And I've always been this way. I'm hardwired this way. So I started to look up different types of accountability plans and different types of accountabilities that I could get into to help me with this. And I stumbled on 75 Hard. Now, if you've never heard of 75 Hard, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's 75 days of hard. It was created in 2019. I have my notes here. It was created in 2019 by a gentleman by the name of Andy Frisella. He was 39 years old at the time. He is an entrepreneur and a podcaster. And one thing he always emphasizes that this is not a physical challenge. This is a mental challenge with physical components and a physical positive outcome if you do it right. But it's a mental challenge. So think of boot camp, right? Think of military boot camp. But he focused on the positive. He focused on three major pillars as part of 75 Hard. And his three pillars for 75 Hard are exercise, nutrition, and mental activity. So if you remember what I talked about in terms of my 5 pillars that I started or that I held on to, that I anchored myself into when I was working on getting out of my depression and overcoming alcoholism, 3 of these are part of the 5. And I said, oh, maybe this sounds interesting. And here's what 75 Hard is. And before I even go into any further, I'm not doing 75 Hard because similar to what I also mentioned as a postmenopausal woman, this was created by a 39-year-old man. These components don't necessarily go in line with the phase of my body and where I am today. And so I'm very careful to make sure that I don't increase cortisol levels, that I, don't keep making my insulin resistance worse. And so I have to be cognizant of that. And every postmenopausal woman should be considering this as a part of their new workout routine. And part of my series, I will also do a little segment on Orange Theory and all that because there's a lot to say about that. All right. So 75 Hard is, I'm not doing it, but here's what it is. You have to do 2 45-minute workouts. One of those workouts has to be outside. It's 20 degrees outside. I will not be doing workouts outside, my friends. that is a hard no. And that's 20 degrees at a high, not even at a low. But you have to do 2 45-minute workouts. And it could be walking, it could be strength training, it could be HIIT, it could be Tabata. But one of those exercises has to be done outside. You have to drink a gallon of water a day. In terms of diet, it can be any diet plan of your choice. But you cannot have alcohol and no cheat meals. So I'm reading my notes here. I even drew a graph. Look at how crazy I am. Okay. So no cheat meals, no alcohol. Progress photos you have to take daily for this 75 Hard. And you have to read 10 pages of nonfiction daily. So that is part of the process. You have to read 10 pages of nonfiction. It could be personal development. It could be personal improvement. It could be, religious in nature. It can be whatever you want it to be. It has to be 10 pages of a nonfiction book. And then part of 75 hard, and this I saw in some, I didn't see it in others, but it's called accountability, the accountability section of it. And it's, you have to you have to post your daily progress. Overall, in any of these 3 programs that I'm going to mention today, right now, if you skip one day, you have to start over from the beginning. So if you're on day 40 and you don't do 41 the next day, you have to start over again at day 1. This is why it's a mental challenge with physical bonuses, but it's more of a mental challenge, because if you have to think that you've done 40 days and you have to start from 1, you're going to have one of 2 things happen. Either you're never going to go back to 1, or you're not going to finish the program, right? And so that's why it's called 75 hard. And then there's this other tier called 75 soft. So it's a gentler version of 75 hard. And that's because you only have to do 1 45-minute workout, not 2. You have to drink your gallon of water. Your diet has to be healthy and balanced, and you're allowed to have 1 drink a week. You have to do daily progress reports or daily progress photos, and you have to read 10 pages of any book. So it doesn't have to be nonfiction. It can be any book of your choice. You have to read 10 pages. You don't have to post daily progress. The same rule. If you miss a day, you got to start from day 1. And I thought, that's too loosey-goosey for me. I don't even think that's going to work. So I stumbled on this other program, and it's called 75 medium. I'm one of those people that when I drive in the middle lane. I'm slow and steady in all things in my life. And this idea of me starting 75 medium tomorrow on February 24th is even more important for me because it speaks to who I am as a core. And this is why I loved it so much. So you have to do 1 45-minute daily workout. Now, here's the flexibility you have with the medium. If you want to incorporate a second workout, it doesn't have to be outside. It can be a 30-minute stretching. It can be a 30-minute yoga. It can be a 20-minute meditation, a 10-minute meditation. That second workout component doesn't have to be 45 minutes, nor does it have to be outside, if you choose to do the second one. So that you have a little bit of flexibility. Knowing me and how I roll, I will do that second one just because it is part of the program. For hydration, it doesn't say you have to drink a gallon of water, but it does say you have to drink half of your body weight in ounces of water a day. So if you weigh 100 pounds, you have to drink 50 ounces of water a day. For diet, you can choose for it to be 90% of any particular diet. It doesn't have to be 100%. You don't have to go hard or go home on this one. But it says 0 cheat days and 0 alcohol. It does have 0 cheat days and 0 alcohol. Progress photos, it says for you to do daily, but I've been doing progress pictures for so many years. I will not be doing a daily progress picture. I will probably do one every 30 days. I will most definitely do one tomorrow morning, and I will definitely do one when I'm done, but I don't know at what point in the middle will I do one. I will not be doing them daily because that's just too much crap on my phone. I don't need a daily picture, and I'll forget which one was what day. And it says you have to read or listen to 10 minutes of a self-help book or a motivational book. It can be, again, general, it can be religious, but this one gives you the option of reading or listening to. The other two, 75 hard and 75 soft, you have to physically read 10 pages. This one you can read 10 minutes of any self-help book you can read or listen to. The difference between hard and soft in this one is that if you skip a day, you can just continue the next day. You don't have to start over again. So that was not part of the 75 medium. And so the more I read about 75 medium, I understood that that one will work for me because it fits who I am as a person right now, as a postmenopausal woman. It fits my lifestyle and it gets me to my goal. But it also gives me structure and it gives me something to work towards. It gives me something to focus on, and I know exactly what I have to do. It gives me specific tasks of what I need to do every single day. Now, 75, whether you do hard, medium, or soft, is you have to do all 75 days. So you have to work out for 75 days consecutively. But in the medium category, you can do a 45-minute workout, but it doesn't have to be high intense. It doesn't have to be cardio. It can be anything you want it to be. And as I researched a little bit more about 75 hard, it said, here are the benefits. It gives you deep, solid habits. It's, what is this? No, this is not for, these are the benefits of, 75 medium. These are the benefits of 75 medium. It gives you solid habits, like I said, less strict and adaptable to my lifestyle. It incorporates different forms of personal development, and it's accessible to most fitness levels. So 75 hard is for medium to advanced. Beginners have a hard time going from 0 to intense because 75 hard is a mental challenge and it will push you. If you have never done an exercise and you go from doing 0 exercises to doing 150 minutes a day of exercise, that's a really difficult jump. It's a really difficult task. That's why most people don't finish it and why it becomes such a challenge. The risks to 75 medium is that there's no nutritional guidance, but that's for someone who has never had any nutritional experience. I do, because I've been doing nutritional programs for the last 6.5 years. And so I have an understanding of what I need. And in my phase, I'm focused on starting with protein and fiber. And then I front load my carbs for breakfast and for lunch. And then I only eat protein and fiber for dinner. And I have healthy snacks in between. My daily goal for protein per day is 150 grams of protein. And I use my Fitness Pal for that. So I am in this space where I know how the nutritional program is going to work for me, but there are people that don't. So that's important for you to know. There's a risk of burnout and there's no workout recovery. Overtraining, you can plateau with 75 hard. You can definitely overtrain. Your body needs a rest day. You need that active rest day, whether that be stretching, yoga. You just need rest and recovery. You cannot be, it's not sustainable for you to do 75 consecutive days and putting that wear and tear on your body, especially in postmenopause where our bones are becoming more brittle. We need, collagen supplements and vitamin D and all the things. For a woman in postmenopause, it's just a little bit more challenging. I'm not saying it's not doable. There are women that do it, but you have to know what you're getting yourself into. And there's the risk of burnout, and the progress photos daily, for me, like I said, have little use. And this was part of some of the risks that were noted. And who should avoid? Who should avoid 75 hard or any of the 75s, right? Those already stressed, because 75 consecutive days is a commitment. It's a lot. History of eating disorders or bad relationships with food, because you are required to eat a lot of food to sustain your workout and to sustain your muscle mass. And if you've had a recent or existing injury, you should not be doing any of these. And for good, it's an existing exercise routine and understanding of their bodies. So, if you have an understanding of your body, which I do, this is a good program for you. If you have a busy career and trying to find a wellness routine, like I do, like most of us do, this is also a good program because you're not doing 2 45 minutes, you're doing 1 45-minute workout as part of the program. But if you want to add an additional whatever minutes, you can, that's optional. And it's good for anyone that's failed in exercise and failed at nutritional habits, because all of it is about building a habit. It's about building the routine, building that muscle memory to say, this is part of who I am, this is part of what I'm supposed to do daily, and turning that switch on so that you can show up for yourself every day. Um, and for those of us that want a challenge, because I definitely want a challenge. So here are some tips for success. And I've said this in my entire health and fitness journey. You have to have a why. You have to know your compass. You have to know your starting point so that you can know where to go from there. If you don't know where you are, it's going to be hard for you to show up every day. You know, a lot of my friends and family say, I want your motivation. I wish I had your motivation. I don't have motivation. Most days I don't feel like working out when I'm in my prime. Right now, it's guardrail working out. But once I have the full green light, I'm not motivated every day, but I know my why. I have a very strong why. And that's what gets me up. That's what gets me moving. That's what gets me to do my workouts. Challenge rules that suit you, but not the easy way out. So, challenge, put some rules down that will push you to show up 75 days straight. But don't put rules that are so hard that are almost unattainable for you to show up. Okay, keep that in mind. Take regular recovery rest days. That includes stretching, foam rolling, just taking care of your body, making sure that you incorporate an active rest day. You don't need 2 days, but you do need at least 1 day of active rest. That's important because it helps you to recover. Don't strive for perfect nutrition. Been there, done that. Don't strive for perfect nutrition. Set yourself with a goal. If you can't reach 150 grams, if you have no idea how many grams of protein you're eating, ideally you should be eating your weight in grams in protein. That's the rule of thumb. But if that's too much for you, you don't even know where to start. First, start with knowing how many grams of protein you're currently consuming. Start with that. Remember the compass. Know where you are so that you know where you're going. Choose workouts that you enjoy. Choose workouts that you can do, you want to do to help you reach your goals. For me, it's important for me to lift heavy, for me to have strength training, because as a postmenopausal woman, building muscle is important as my bones continue to become brittle just by the nature of my body in this phase of my life. So it's important that I have strong muscles to support my bones. Just choose workouts that you enjoy. Um, you don't need the daily photos unless that's something you want to do. So don't put your stress on daily photos, but I do encourage you to take a before and after picture because that is very motivational. Sometimes we get into the rut of just being in the exercise, but we don't really, what would I say? We don't notice the difference. Why? Because we're focused on the scale. The scale is a liar. The scale doesn't speak to what I call non-scale victories. So, are you sleeping better? Do your pants feel different? Are you able to walk up the stairs without breathing heavy? You know, all these little things are non-scale victories. Your scale will not tell you that. And the scale is very, very shady because, you know, 20 pounds of fat weighs the same as 20 pounds of muscle, but muscle takes up less space. This is why you have to pay attention to the non-scale victories, because the scale is not going to tell you that. As women, we are programmed. I don't know why we're so hardwired to focus on a certain number. And as a postmenopausal woman, your focus should be more on strength training, building muscle versus losing muscle mass, which is why cardio and high intense, interval training does not work in your favor as a postmenopausal woman, because they deplete your muscle mass, and we need muscle in this phase. So understanding what your needs are, remember, knowing your starting point is critical. And if this is something that you like to do, exercise with friends. If you feel like you need that motivation and that additional accountability, work out with friends. I prefer to work out alone. That is my choice, my preference, but you do whatever makes you happy. And then the last one is, don't let it consume your life. Be mindful of discipline and stay focused. You don't have to let it consume your life, but you have to work it into your schedule, because remember, this is something that's going to make you feel good. If you're feeling crappy in the process, your brain knows that, and your body is not. You need to make that mind body connection. And if your brain is saying, I don't want to do this, this isn't working, I don't see any changes, my scale still tells me this, and I haven't lost any weight, but you're trying to exercise, if you haven't made that mind body connection, you're not going to see the results. That is a proven scientific fact. So make sure you make that mind body connection. This is why wrapping, closing, like just bringing it all full circle, knowing your why and having a strong why to why you're going to show up every single day and push beyond what you can, because you don't really want to do this. You don't have the motivation, but you know what your goal is and you know your why. That's what's going to get you to show up. That is what's going to get you moving, going to get you focused, and will get you the results that you're looking for. So this is a really long video. It's probably my longest video to date, but I had a lot to share, and I hope that you stayed. I hope that you stayed until the end. If you have, thank you. Thank you so much. This is a very passionate subject for me, for women that are in this stage in your life. You are worthy. You are worthy. Our bodies are amazing. We have done miraculous things with our bodies, and the best is yet to come. So stick with it. I hope that you join me in my journey. I will try to do it in the form of maybe a vlog. This is going to really challenge me. I don't know how many challenges I want altogether, but I do want to bring you guys along. I do want to bring you along on my journey because I'm super excited about this. I am also in the process of developing a kind of like a cheat sheet of, it's still in draft form. I'm still working on it, but I do want to do a 75 medium challenge checklist. I want to do a PDF, a free PDF to give out to everyone. It's just not ready yet. And I didn't want to not do this video because this isn't done. This is not my priority, this checklist, but I will do it because I know that some people need this and it helps them. So I'm working on getting this together for you, and I will push that out to everyone once it's done. But if you don't know anything about the 75 medium challenge, I encourage you to look it up and do your little bit of a research. The 75 hard, although I'm not a beginner, I'm more of an advanced person in terms of workouts. I still will not do 75 hard because it doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve the way my body is, where my body is today at 55 years old. And if I start doing that, I will be creating a lot of damage and potential injury. That's not what I'm trying to do. So that is not my why, and that is not my goal. But thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And until the next one, until my progress, I will be more than happy to bring that to you. I can't wait. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Until the next one. Adios.